It's week 2. Get ready for your next Back to Basics training challenge. What's up everyone, I'm Kevin Cheff and you're with the Retriever Coach. If you want to learn more about training and handling a retriever, then subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you stick around to the end of this video, there'll be a bonus tip that you just might find invaluable. So last week we did the wagon wheel drill where we focused on lining, communications, and preparing for retrieve. This week I'm going to ask you to do the scattered bumper drill. The scattered bumper drill is a multi-purpose drill where you can focus on things like control issues such as stopping, auto casting, and looking around while stopped on the whistle. You can also work on things like casting and issues surrounding angle back casts, angle in casts, and overs. Finally, you'll find plenty of opportunities to work on the same areas that you were working on in the wagon wheel drill. You're going to put out 7 piles of bumpers. 3 bumpers in each pile would be adequate. Walk out 20 yards from the running line and place piles of bumpers at 10, 12, and 2 o'clock. Then 45 yards from the running line, place piles of bumpers at 9, 11, 1, and 3 o'clock. If the bumpers at the long stations are hard to pick out from the line, then make sure you put a white blind stake there. The piles should be evenly spaced and staggered. To start the drill, you're simply going to line to the piles, just as you did in the wagon wheel drill. Once the dog is lining confidently to all of the piles, you can then start casting between the piles. In the beginning, you should focus primarily on angle back casting. Start easy by casting to a long outside pile. Once the dog is consistently giving you the first cast in these situations, graduate to angle back casting to the longer inner piles. There's definitely more complexity with all of the options available to the dog now. When the dog has angle back casting down pat, you can work on overs by sending the dog toward a long pile, stopping the dog short of the long pile, and casting to one of the adjacent long piles. Finally, move on to angle in casting. In other words, send your dog toward a long pile and stop it short of the pile. Then give a precise angle in cast combined with a come-in whistle to one of the short piles. Now there are some important things that you should remember when you run this drill. Number 1. Once you begin casting between the piles, you should line to and pick up a bumper from a short pile on every second send. Number 2. In order to avoid any quirkiness on the dog's part, I suggest that you don't line back toward the same pile twice in a row. Number 3. Make sure you're precise with every cast. Remember, this is a drill and we're trying to define casting perfectly in the dog's mind. It's not important that the dog take the correct cast the first time you give the dog a cast. It's important that the dog take the correct cast with a precisely given cast. If you stay the course, if you stay consistent and you stay precise, then eventually your dog's bound to handle with precision. Number 4, if the dog doesn't take the correct cast, simply stop the dog and cast again. If the dog is too close to the pile you're casting away from, stop the dog, call the dog back in a few yards, and then cast again. I try to avoid correction in these situations. Number 5, if the dog happens to pick up the wrong bumper, stop the dog, walk out, take the bumper away from the dog and place it back on the pile. You can then walk back to the line, call the dog in a few yards, and give the dog another cast. Again, I don't like to correct the dog in these situations and use an attrition style of training. Lastly, the only thing I suggest you make corrections for are the following. Control issues like a failure to stop crisply on the whistle, auto casting, or looking around while the dog has been stopped on the whistle. You should also make corrections for a failure to go when the dog has been given the command back, or you've given the dog a cast and it fails to go. With regards to obedience and delivery, a dog should be rather composed online, pivoting neatly and delivering promptly. Make corrections where necessary. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that if you stuck around to the end, you'd get a bonus tip. Well, here it is. If you've got a dog that's a little over-exuberant or gets out of control on the blinds at a field trial or hunt test, well, this might be the drill to help you manage those problems. What you need to do is find a place close to the grounds where you can get away to do a little training before you run. Set up this drill and focus on the areas that are causing you grief. You just might find that this is the ticket to solving some of your problems. Thanks for joining me for week 2 of the Back to Basics Training Challenge. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and if you have any questions about the drill, or you'd like to tell us how you and your dog are doing with the weekly challenge, then leave your comments below. I'll also leave a link to the diagram for this drill in the description box. Have a great week, everyone.